Whenever Vietnamese New Year's approaches, it is considered to be everyone's birthday because it is celebrated as a celebration of a new year. So every year, I would basically have 2 birthdays and receive not 1, but 2 presents. I will be informing you about Vietnamese New Year's, which is also called Lunar New Year, or Tet in Vietnamese. The purpose of Vietnamese New Year's is to celebrate that the previous year is ending and the new year is approaching. Every year, I would celebrate Vietnamese New Year's with my friends and family members, and it was one of my favorite holidays to celebrate next to Christmas. In addition, my parents immigrated from Vietnam, and they brought their traditions to America. Vietnamese New Year's is one of Vietnam's most important and special holidays, and if you have friends or family members that are Vietnamese, you can learn how to properly celebrate it with them. Vietnamese New Year's is one of the most significant holidays in Vietnamese culture, and it is like a mix of Christmas and New Year's Eve. Before discussing about Vietnamese New Year's, how Vietnamese New Year's is celebrated today, its origin and history is important, which leads up to how people celebrate it in present time. China first introduced Vietnam to Chinese New Year's, and the history and traditional customs shaped Vietnamese New Year's. Chinese New Year's has a major influence of what and why the holiday is celebrated by looking at the history of Chinese New Year's and when the holiday is celebrated by discussing about the lunisolar calendar. According to C.N. Lee, Vietnamese New Year's originally passed from China when they ruled Vietnam 2,000 years ago, and through the centuries they shared Chinese policies, culture, and traditions. The beginning point of Chinese New Year's was never recorded, but it was predicted that people celebrated for 3,500 years, noted by Tang. The celebrated customs mainly came from mythical legends that were told in ancient times. People believe that one of the 3 ancient Chinese dynasties called the Shang Dynasty, which ruled from 1600 to 1046 BC, began Chinese New Year's by holding sacrificial ceremonies in honor of God and ancestors, noted by Tang. In the preceding dynasty, the Zhou dynasty, began telling myths of how and why Chinese New Year's first started in the first place. They believed that a mythical monster called Nian ate livestock, crops, and even people on eve of a new year, noted by Tang. Until one day, an old man learned that the beast was afraid of firecrackers and the color red. People would then set off firecrackers and hang red lanterns and red scrolls, and they wore red to scare away the monster every year. Chinese New Year's was celebrated to either worship gods or scare away the mythical beasts, but its purpose would change over time. Instead of being celebrated for religious reasons, people would then celebrate it for entertainment with their families and party, noted by Tang. China and Vietnam, along with other Asian countries, share a similar calendar for their Lunar New Year's cultural traditions. This brings the questions: why is Lunar New Year celebrated in late January or February instead of January 1st? Well, many Asian countries like China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, etc. follow the Chinese lunisolar calendar. The calendar was originated by the Shang dynasty, which I noted who invented Chinese New Year's. The calendar is based on the phases of the moon. The Lunar New Year occurs within the second new moon of the new year, unless there was a leap month, which occurs every 3 years. If there's a leap month, Lunar New Year occurs on the first new moon. The calendar that the world follows today is called the Gregorian calendar, which is different from the Chinese calendar because it follows the sun and is a solar calendar, where the lunisolar calendar follows the patterns of the moon and the sun. Since Vietnam follows the lunisolar calendar, they incorporate the zodiac of 12 animals in rotation, noted by Li. The Chinese zodiacs are like astrological zodiacs, except the duration of the year determines which zodiac you are, and not by the constellation and the stars, which are seen monthly. For example, you would see the horoscope Gemini once every year, while you would experience the year of the dog once every 12 years. This year, 2017, is currently the year of the rooster. In 2018, it will be the year of the dog. Vietnamese New Year's was brought from China, and ancient history is important, and along with the Chinese lunisolar calendar, so people know when to celebrate the holiday. China gave Vietnam reason why Lunar New Year's should be celebrated, but Vietnam celebrates it in a unique and similar manner like other Asian countries. Vietnam celebrates the holiday through their customs, foods, and special activities. When celebrating Vietnamese New Year's, it is important to bring good fortune to you and your family by following traditional customs. Vietnamese people can be very superstitious, which is a part of their religious beliefs. Before Vietnamese New Year's begins, people would get rid of their bad luck from the previous year. It is important to pay off your debts and attempt to resolve problems amongst your colleagues, friends, and family members, noted by the article Vietnamese New Year's. People would also clean their houses and polish utensils as if they're washing away the bad luck, also noted by the article Vietnamese New Year's. Parents would then buy their children new clothes and shoes to wear on the new year for a fresh new beginning. Color is significant because the color of red and yellow symbolizes good fortune. People decorate their homes with red lanterns and scrolls and purchase the Vietnamese Mickey Mouse plant or marigolds, which are bright yellow flowers. Homes are most likely to be decorated when there are family gatherings. Vietnamese temples also decorate appropriately for Vietnamese New Year's because many people visit to pray and worship gods for good luck for the new year. And they also visit their graves to pray for their family members for good luck as well. Red envelopes called lisi or lucky money are also exchanged amongst children to welcome them to the new year. Personally, one of my favorite parts of the Vietnamese New Year's is the food. Some of the food that is prepared by Vietnamese New Year's is only prepared and eaten once during the duration of the holiday. One of the must-have foods for the Vietnamese New Year's traditions are the sticky rice cakes, which is one of my favorite foods to eat every year. The sticky rice cakes are different between North and South Vietnam. In South Vietnam, the sticky rice cakes are called bánh tét. The main ingredients are glutinous rice or sticky rice, mung beans, cooked pork, and pork fat. The ingredients are then rolled into a banana leaf to form a cylindrical log-like shape. The bánh tét is then tightened with ribbons to keep its shape, and it is steamed. I eat this version of sticky rice every year. It is really yummy. You should try some too. North Vietnam also eats sticky rice cakes, but it's called differently. It's called bánh chưng. The ingredients are the same, and the difference is that the mold of the sticky rice cakes is shaped like a square. Special snacks are also served to welcome guests and on munch-on while they are talking during family gatherings. Preserved or dry candy fruit called mứt is mainly eaten during the holiday. They are normally served with a variety of flavors, which includes apples, coconuts, and orange. And vegetables are also preserved and dry, and they can be either carrots, potatoes, ginger. You can also find watermelon seeds served with a box of mứt or preserved fruit or vegetables. There are activities that only occur within Vietnamese New Year's. The lion dance is a traditional dance that originally came from Chinese culture. As mentioned before, the lion represents a mythical beast. Its design is very colorful, and some people see the lion as the mythical beast as mentioned before, Nian. Performers, normally too, would usually use a lion costume and use dance to tell a story. Sometimes they add acrobatics to make the dance more interesting. They also dance to music, which includes drums, cymbals, and the gong. Or they could use traditional Asian music. And the lion dancers synchronize themselves to the beat. Other activities include lighting firecrackers or fireworks to celebrate the new year with a bang. Vietnam celebrates their new year through their customs by getting rid of the old and bringing in with the new. Certain foods are only prepared and eaten during the holiday, and they find entertainment through traditional activities. For several days, people celebrate Vietnamese New Year's with friends and family members with delicious food and fun activities. And their culture reflects on those things. Overall, Vietnamese New Year's, or Tet, is one of the most important holidays to the people of Vietnam, including myself. The holiday was introduced from China, who first celebrated it in ancient time because it followed their lunisolar calendar, which they invented. When celebrating Vietnamese New Year's, friends and family members would get together and approach the new year with traditional customs, foods, and activities like lighting firecrackers and fireworks. So, when celebrating Vietnamese New Year's, it is important to use a traditional greeting to say Happy New Year's. You can impress your Vietnamese friends or family members by saying Chúc mừng năm mới, which means Happy New Year's.